Welcome in to the Mile High Hoops podcast with me, Jake Shapiro, and we are talking to you about a split with the Phoenix Suns from the Denver Nuggets. And, sometimes you have a win that feels so good and you feel like you get right. And then 2 days later in the NBA, because you don't stop playing, you have a loss that brings you right back down to where you were. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit. And I've focused on this a little bit with personnel issues and mentality stuff. And I think I've got the phrase to perfectly describe where the Nuggets are. On some nights, they lack punch. They lack the personnel. On other nights, they lack, passion. And on Christmas against the Suns, I think they kind of just lacked both. And what I mean by that is there'll be certain points in the game where clearly the Nuggets just don't have the shooters and the lane gets clogged, or they don't have the defenders to guard a guy like Bradley Beal, as we've talked about perimeter ball handlers all year plaguing the Nuggets. And then they also have sequences of the game where they seem to lack that passion, whether it's on the offensive rebounds with letting Phoenix just get second chance opportunities. Last night, the Nuggets didn't get out in the fast break at all. That's part of it, right? They didn't get the defensive rebound and go out and run. But the passion thing comes down to more than that for me. It's like a mentality thing. It's a focus thing. And there was a part in the game last night where Christian had the opportunity to stay with Bradley Beal or help get a late contest on Jusuf Nurkic, who was already going to get a late contest from one of the other Nuggets players. And Christian Braun rotates off a guy who was the leading scorer and one of the better three-point shooters on that team to help on a guy who really didn't shoot threes until this year. And for me, that's a passion thing. That's a mentality thing. That's a focus thing. And that's what concerns me right now with the Denver Nuggets is not only do we continue to harp on the personnel issues, which clearly they need more punch. They need another guard. They need some help in their backcourt. They probably need another body in the front court just to rotate through somebody, right? But on certain nights, it seems like they're not detail-oriented and not focused enough on the game plan. So I'm not going to go all negative because the Nuggets have won 5 of their last 7 games. And, it felt like Monday's win against Phoenix really was a get-right win. And, Michael Porter Jr. responded so well after that horrible showing in New Orleans. And, you understand it given what's going on with his name in the media right now. But it is one of those things for the Nuggets where they haven't been consistent enough through the last 6 weeks of the season. It seems like night in, night out, you're not sure what team you're going to get. And part of that is literally the team looks better some nights when they're hitting their threes and they don't look good the nights that they're not. But I think a lot of it is those little things that I'm talking about, like cleaning the defensive glass, like making sure you're sound in your game plan. You know what shooters you're running off the 3-point line. And, last night again, fouling 3-point shooters, fouling jump shooters. It's just problems that we've seen all year round. And, as we continue to talk about, this is a frustrating team because it's got the best player in the world. We've seen it contend for 2 years in a row. And clearly they're like one step below that, right? And that's where those inconsistencies are, is when you're a team that's one step below that. So I thought it would be fun to go through my list of Nuggets who have been, see, this is why I confuse the word, naughty and nice so far this season as we're in the holiday spirit. I could be fun here and I could just say there's been one person who's been nice and the rest have been naughty. Obviously, Nikola Jokic has been nice, but I think that for me, I think Michael Porter Jr. has been mostly nice. I've really liked the way he's played. I think consistently he's been the Nuggets' second best player. I think he's done a lot of what's been asked of him. I think his 3-point shot has been inconsistent at times, but most of the time his rebounding and what he provides the Nuggets is pretty consistent, and they know what they're going to get. And that's tough to say given the stretch of basketball he's in. But through, about a third of the season thus far, he's definitely been the Nuggets' second best player. And, there's a reason why he's played the most minutes on the Nuggets consistently this season. I think he actually has the most minutes overall because Jokic has missed a couple games. So that's That's my nice list is Mike and Nikola. You could make a case for Aaron, who has been great every time he's been healthy, but now dealing with another calf injury. I'm just going to leave him off the list because, obviously hasn't been naughty. I think DeAndre Jordan has been nice. Every time he's gotten an opportunity, he's done his job. He's filled his role. And I think the person who has been a revelation for the Nuggets is Russell Westbrook. Definitely on the nice list for me. He has been so solid to start this season, providing more than what his role was supposed to be. I do worry because last night, he really struggles in, he's basically had an elevated role recently here where, he can play himself into the closing lineups. And last night he was okay for one half and then kind of bad for the second half. And it comes back down to a punch, a personnel thing with Russ of the lane is so clogged when he is on the floor, particularly with the Nuggets' lack of shooting elsewhere. There was that dream scenario for the Nuggets where it's like, oh, they could roll out a bench lineup or a bench unit where it's like Dario who can shoot threes. It's Michael Porter who can shoot threes. It's Jamal Murray who can shoot threes. It's Julian Strother all around Russ. But the reality is Russ has been sadly one of the more reliable three-point shooters for this Nuggets team. And that's indicative of a team that's just not really going to be guarded from three-point territory, right? So that's what we've seen. So it's not like a lot of the things I have a problem with Russ and the reasons why I think that he holds the Nuggets back aren't really Russ's fault. It's the Nuggets' fault for putting him in those positions. So I did want to have a sidebar on that because I feel like sometimes my words get misconstrued on my hatred for Russell Westbrook. That's not really what's going on. I actually love the way he plays. It's just I don't think he's a perfect fit for what the Nuggets are trying to accomplish, particularly in late game situations. So that's my nice list. My naughty list. Definitely have to start the naughty list with Jamal Murray through a third of the season. And, he has been a lot better in the last week, 2 weeks or so. Didn't look great on Christmas, obviously still banged up from New Orleans, maybe came back a little bit too early from that injury. Maybe he won't be ready to go against Cleveland with both Aaron Gordon. So that could be a rough showing on Friday. And I'm really excited for that game because Cleveland's the best team in the NBA. See what the Nuggets got at home against the best team in the NBA who walloped them a couple weeks ago. But I think Jamal as a whole obviously has been pretty disappointing this season. I'm still not ready to write him off. I'm not at the bad contract. I'm not at the panic trade place that a lot of people are. But I will give to you that he has no doubt been in a bad place to start this season. And the Nuggets are only going to go as far as Jamal Murray goes. We've been saying that on this podcast the entire time I've been doing this podcast. And so far, I think the Nuggets start at 16-12 is pretty showing and telling of where Jamal Murray has been through 25 games so far this season, which has been up and down. And on the nights when he thrives, the Nuggets thrive. And on nights where he struggles, like last night, the Nuggets struggle as well. This is going to be one that has flipped from someone who was on the nice list to the naughty list over the last couple of weeks, and that's Christian Braun. For me, I thought Christian has done a really good job for the Nuggets most of the season. He's providing some scoring. He is hustling on defense. And for me, he's definitely a guy who is an NBA player. Like, there are some questions about who is an NBA player in the Nuggets. They don't have that question with Christian. But he is cast to do more than what he is capable of right now. And I think a lot of the perimeter guard struggles is coming from Christian. And this is unfortunate because you already know when you got rid of KCP that you were leaving a lot to Christian. And I thought he would do a really good job on bigger wings and guards, guys like Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, right? But he would maybe struggle against Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beals, De'Aaron Foxes. Those struggles have been more pronounced than I thought we were going to get. And the Nuggets do not have an ability to get a stop at the point of attack with these smaller guards. And this is maybe, in my opinion, as big an issue as the rebounding and as the three-point shooting right now, as the Nuggets have three main issues, and those are it. And Christian just isn't that guy, at least at this point in his NBA career. And then you couple that with the fact that he's 3 for 22 from three over this month of December. And he's not a shooter and he's not getting stops from other teams' shooters. And the Nuggets need that out of their starting two guard. And that's what KCP was so good at. And it didn't show up all the time in the stats, but he allowed Jamal Murray to use all of his energy on offense. He allowed Nikola Jokic to look a lot better on defense. And I think a lot of the things you're seeing about how Jokic is bad on defense again or stuff like that is because the Nuggets perimeter defense is so bad. And unfortunately, Christian has just not done enough on that end. So he's flipped a little to the naughty list. For me, the main naughty listers, though, are Peyton Watson, who's had just a brutal start to the season, has been nowhere near the player I thought he was going to be able to be this year. And it's really unfortunate because you see the athleticism, you see the skill, and, he has upped his counting stats and everything, but I think we're all realistic with what we're seeing out of Peyton. And, some nights it's just nothing on offense and his defense just isn't enough and he hasn't been able to hustle enough and he's fouling jump shooters and just big cardinal sins, right? Dario Saric, naughty lister, that goes without saying, right? Just a brutal free agent signing that has not worked out for the Nuggets. And then, what do you do with Michael Malone? Is he on the nice list or is he on the naughty list? That's my question to you listening to the Mile High Hoops podcast. For me, I put him on the nice list. I think the Nuggets last year maybe didn't go as far because of Michael Malone. I think this year Mike's done a really good job of getting this team to stay focused most of the time, because for me, it's most of the time a punch issue. It is a personnel issue. Sometimes it's passion, and that would come back to the coach. So last night, Michael Malone probably needed to do a better job. He would tell you that sometimes he would need to do a better job. But for me, Michael Malone has not been the problem with this team, so I might just leave him off a list altogether, though I lean a little nice. Anyway, I hope you have a great holiday season. This is Jake Shapiro, Mile High Hoops Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Denver Sports, all the latest and greatest and everything going on with Denver Sports over there on YouTube.